ISIS, whose fault is it? The United States of America, along with some Western countries, decided some years ago to intervene in the activities of Middle East. Unfortunately, for not knowing what to do, they have created a mess. Let's go back to where the Soviet Union had invaded Afghanistan. After the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan in the name of helping the regime of Afghani at that time, Najibullah, they stayed there, and the Afghani people started resisting and fighting, trying to overthrow Najibullah's regime and kick the Soviet forces out. There were some radical groups. At that time, they weren't so-called radical. There were some groups led by Osama bin Laden and Mullah Omar that were fighting Soviet Unions to get them out. United States of America, it is a well-known fact that supported these groups because the United States was interested to get rid of Soviet Union from Afghanistan and their influence, and helped all these groups, and as well as other opposition, to fight Soviet Unions. In late 80s, Soviet Union left Afghanistan, and the regime of Najibullah was overthrown, and he was hanged. The Northern Alliance in the north, which were more democratic and more liberal, controlling the north, and the rest of the country were being controlled by Taliban, a more radical religious fundamentals that basically abolished all the freedom for women and restricted activities and the music and anything that has to do with the Western way of life that we know in the Western countries. Taliban flourished and were in control of Afghanistan. Then the United States invaded, attacked Iraq in the name of helping Kuwait to freedom from the forces of Saddam, who had invaded Kuwait. By doing so, the United States created a base in Saudi Arabia and other countries in that region. Once Kuwait was freed from Saddam forces, the United States remained behind and did not leave the Saudi Arabia and other countries in that region. Some of the fundamentalists like Osama bin Laden were offended that the infidels, so-called infidels, were staying behind and living in the Holy Land and not leaving. And then, of course, we know what happened on 9/11, the tragedy, Twin Towers falling, and as well as 7 other buildings. And in the process, over 3,000 people died and hundreds were injured. United States decided to invade Afghanistan in the name of retaliation because Osama bin Laden and some of his supporters were living in Afghanistan. And as a result, the Taliban was overthrown. Mullah Omar fled the country or went to some caves. So did Osama bin Laden. And Afghanistan became a chaos under control of the United States and some factions. Of course, the guerrilla warfare continued, and to this day, it still continues. Then the United States decided to invade Iraq in the name of freeing the people of Iraq from the regime of Saddam Hussein and bring freedom and democracy to Iraqi people. And of course, the excuse was Saddam has weapons of mass destruction and may attack the United States and endanger lives in the Western countries and United States. Under that banner, which was totally false, the United States invaded Iraq. As a result, Saddam was captured and later on tried in a kangaroo trial and was hung. The result is that Iraq became a chaos. There is no sign of real democracy and freedom in Iraq. The radical group were flourished. First, they started with Al-Qaeda. Some of the factions of Al-Qaeda started operation in Iraq, and then it grew something more radical than Al-Qaeda. It became ISIS. Now they call themselves Islamic State. state of Syria and Iraq, or Iraq and Syria. ISIS is a much more radical and vicious group than any of those other religious groups that have ever been in existence in that part of the world. Then people in Syria started demonstrating for and demanding some freedom because of the Arab Spring. United States, as well as some Western countries, decided to help them by supporting them against the regime of Bashar al-Assad. The result was another chaos. Bashar al-Assad is still in power. Syria has become a mess. Radical groups, as well as some moderate groups, have been fighting Assad regime to no avail. The country is a mess. Over a couple of 100,000 people have been killed, and millions have been homeless and lost their livelihood. And as we see in the news, hundreds of thousands of Syrians have become refugees. Then there was the chaos in Libya. Again, Arab Spring, people decided to gain some freedom, and they started demonstration. West, as well as United States, again decided to help the Libyan people and the opposition forces to overthrow Gaddafi. The no-flight zone and then some bombing of the Libyan forces were routine at that time. Again, Gaddafi was overthrown. He was assassinated by an opposition group while he was escaping the country. And Libya not only did not gain any freedom and democracy, has become a hashmash of various factions in control. There is some moderation, but most of the Libya is being controlled by radicals and fundamentalists. And the Libya that we used to know does not exist anymore. What the United States of America, as well as the other countries in the West, need to understand is changing the regime is not that easy. It sounds nice to say, oh, we are going to have the people bring democracy and removing a tyrant or dictator. But in order to be effective, the West must first identify a viable opposition group with a leader, understand their philosophy and their belief, whether they believe in democracy, a true democracy and liberty, or just a phony democracy and liberty just to gain power. Also identify the other opposition that have radical and religious tendency that may cause problem should they gain power. By doing so, then the West knows what group and which leaders to support and which one do not. In all of the examples that I gave, none of these policy has been followed. It has been a hashmash and hasty decision and policy making that resulted in chaos in that region. Libyan people are living in dire poverty and chaos, and there's a homelessness refugee from Libya. Syrian people are living in chaos and terror. They are being terrorized by Bashar al-Assad regime, the forces, as well as with groups like ISIS. And the Iraqi people, they are being harassed, terrorized by ISIS and other radical groups, and they don't have much of a freedom as they were supposed to have. And in the process, all these three countries lost their identity, their history, their wealth, their antiquities, and all have been basically demolished. Nothing has been gained, and all is because of the fault of United States of America and the Western European countries that in the name of bringing democracy created a mess. The way it is now, a can of worms has been opened, and putting the worms back into the can has become very difficult, if it's impossible. In the process, thousands of innocent people have been killed for no reason. And the West must understand and do better than that. And if there's going to be any help for these people, the West must implement a new policy that is a combination of economic, military, and PR public relations policy. Force alone cannot get rid of ISIS. Economic policy alone cannot, neither PR, public relations. It is a combination. In order to get rid of ISIS and other radical groups that are controlling that region,